Well, hello there, my little dreamers. I'm Grandma Mabel, and I'm so glad you found your way here. This is a special place, a cozy corner where magical stories come to life, where laughter is shared, and where every night can end with a twinkle in your heart. Every story time begins with a little giggle, a big smile, and, of course, a grand adventure, filled with kindness, courage, and just a sprinkle of magic. So snuggle in close, grab your favorite blanket, and listen closely. Now, before we dive into a wonderful story, how about a little giggle to make our hearts light and happy? What did one wall say to the other wall? I'll meet you at the corner. Once upon a time, in a quiet cottage at the edge of a great dark forest, there lived a poor woodcutter with his 2 children, Hansel and Gretel. Now Hansel was clever and curious, and Gretel was brave and kind. The 2 siblings loved each other dearly, and wherever one went, the other was close behind. Times were hard and food was scarce. Their stepmother, who was not as gentle as their father, often sighed and frowned and worried out loud about how they would survive the winter. One evening, while the children lay awake in their small wooden beds, they overheard her whispering to their father, "There's barely enough bread for one. Tomorrow, we must take the children into the woods and leave them there. It's the only way." Now, their father didn't want to do it. Oh no, he loved his children very much. But he was tired and afraid, and let her words sway him. Hansel, being as sharp as a pine needle, crept out of bed that night and filled his pockets with small white pebbles that glittered in the moonlight. "Don't worry, Gretel," he whispered. "I have a plan." The next morning, their stepmother led them deep into the forest under the pretense of gathering firewood. But when Hansel and Gretel looked up, the trees all looked the same, and their parents were gone. But Hansel had quietly dropped his white pebbles along the way, like tiny breadcrumbs made of stone. When the moon rose, the stones sparkled, and the children followed them all the way home. Their father was so relieved to see them, but their stepmother, she was not pleased. A few days later, when the bread was nearly gone, she tried again. "This time," she said, "we must go deeper into the woods." And this time, Hansel couldn't gather pebbles. The door had been locked. Instead, Hansel tore up a slice of bread and left a trail of crumbs. But dear me, when the moonlight came and they looked for the crumbs, they were gone, eaten by birds and forest mice. The Hansel and Gretel wandered for hours, maybe days. Their tummies rumbled louder than the crow's, and their legs were as heavy as soup pots. Just as they were about to give up, they saw something strange between the trees. A house. But not just any house. A cottage made of gingerbread and cake, with sugar windows, icing roof tiles, and candy canes along the path. The door was chocolate, the doorknob a gumdrop. The children couldn't believe their eyes. "It must be magic," cried Gretel. "Or a dream," added Hansel, but it wasn't a dream. And when Hansel broke off a piece of cake, a kind voice from inside called out, "Nibble, nibble, little mouse, who's nibbling at my sugar house?" Till out came a little old woman, hunched and wrinkled but smiling sweetly. She invited them in, fed them warm stew and berry pie, and gave them soft beds. "Stay as long as you like," she said. "You poor little dears look half-starved." But what Hansel and Gretel didn't know was that the old woman was really a witch, a clever one, who built her candy house to lure children close. And the very next morning, she showed her true self. With a snap of her fingers, she locked Hansel in a cage and told Gretel she'd have to do chores. "When your brother is nice and fat," she cackled, "I shall bake him like a pie." Gretel was frightened. Of course she was. But she was also clever and nice. She gave Hansel tiny meals to keep him from getting fat. And every day, the witch checked his finger to see if he was plump enough. But Hansel held out a little bone he'd found, and the witch, nearly blind, couldn't tell the difference. Weeks passed, and the witch grew impatient. "That's it," she screeched. "I'll bake him anyway." She told Gretel to heat the oven, and when the fire was roaring, the witch opened the door. "Now lean in and check if it's hot enough," she barked. But Gretel, oh, she was clever. "I don't know how," she said sweetly. "Could you show me?" The witch huffed and bent down, and quick as a blink, Gretel gave her a mighty shove and slammed the oven door shut. It was done. The wicked witch was gone. Gretel ran to free Hansel, and the two children danced with joy. They searched the cottage and found it full of treasure, gold, jewels, even a magical compass. They filled a sack and followed the compass through the forest. After many adventures, they found their way home. Their father, now free of the cruel stepmother who had vanished into the woods, hugged them with tears in his eyes. And from that day forward, they never went hungry again, for the treasure built them a new life, full of love, warmth, and plenty of bread. And so, my darlings, Hansel and Gretel found their way, not just through the forest, but through fear and cleverness and the strength of their love. That's the kind of magic that never fades. Sleep well, my little dreamers, and may your dreams always lead you home.